There's this ancient technique that's been feeding civilizations for over 2,000 years, and most people have absolutely no idea it exists. It's called pond aquaculture, and it might be the simplest way to produce your own protein right in your backyard. Here's the crazy part. It basically builds itself. No daily feeding, no special equipment, just water, biology, and patience. So today, we're walking through exactly how to create your own edible ecosystem. By the time this video ends, you'll know how to build something that'll feed your family for decades. Let's rewind to ancient China, around 3,500 BC. Farmers noticed something simple but genius. When seasonal floods receded, fish got trapped in low-lying areas. If they dug those spots deeper and reinforced the edges with clay, the fish just stayed. They reproduced. They thrived. Fast forward to the Tang Dynasty. The emperor's family name was Li, which is the same as the Chinese word for carp. Out of superstition, he banned carp farming across the entire empire. Farmers faced a real problem. Carp had been their main protein for centuries. But instead of giving up, they adapted. They started mixing different fish species in the same pond. You had mud carp feeding on the bottom, silver carp filtering algae in the middle, grass carp eating plants at the surface. Each fish did its own job in its own zone. No competition, no waste. Just one perfectly balanced ecosystem. By the 1200s, these village ponds were everywhere. Some are still producing thousands of pounds of protein today, and nobody's adding feed. The pond just feeds itself. So why doesn't everyone do this? When European settlers came to America, they brought cattle, pigs, and chickens, animals that needed constant feeding and labor. The idea of an edible pond that manages itself seemed too simple, too old, too basic. By the 1900s, backyard ponds in America became decorative. Koi ponds for rich people, pretty fountains, not functional food sources. The knowledge got buried. Then, in the 1960s, researchers at Auburn University remembered the old Chinese methods. They built test ponds, some just the size of a swimming pool. They stocked them with catfish and bluegill using ancient techniques. The results? They pulled 350 pounds of fish from just 1,000 square feet. Think about that. A quarter acre of cattle pasture produces maybe 200 pounds of beef per year, and it needs constant feeding and care. These tiny ponds produce nearly double the protein using way less space and almost zero inputs. The research was published. Then, nothing. No government push, no agricultural colleges teaching it. Because the moment you have a productive pond, you stop buying meat from the industrial system. And that $200 billion meat industry, they have zero incentive to teach you this. Okay, here's the thing. The pond isn't just fish. The fish are only one piece. This is a four-part living system. Part 1. The ducks. In traditional Chinese aquaculture, water birds were always part of the setup. Ducks aren't just cute, they're biological managers. When they swim, they stir up bottom sediments, releasing nutrients into the water. When they poop, and they do, constantly, they're adding nitrogen directly into your ecosystem. That nitrogen feeds algae. Algae feeds zooplankton. Zooplankton feeds small fish. Small fish feed bigger fish. Ducks eat insects, plants, and sometimes small fish. It's this closed loop where everything feeds something else. Here's the bonus. A small flock of 3 to 5 ducks will lay eggs. Khaki Campbell ducks lay between 280 and 340 eggs per year, per duck. So from one tiny flock, you're looking at 840 to 1,700 eggs annually. Research shows ducks with pond access can get up to 30% of their food from insects and aquatic plants. That cuts your feed costs dramatically. You're stacking functions. The ducks fertilize the water, the pond feeds the ducks, everything works together. Part 2. The plants. Aquatic plants aren't decoration. They're the kidneys and lungs of your system. Cattails are biological filter machines. Their roots pull excess nitrogen and phosphorus out of the water, preventing algae blooms and keeping everything balanced. Water lilies provide shade, which keeps water temperature down and reduces evaporation. Submerged plants like hornwort release oxygen during the day, critical for fish health. Floating plants like water lettuce and duckweed are absolute nutrient absorbers. Wastewater treatment facilities use them because they work so well. Duckweed is insane. Under good conditions, it doubles its biomass in less than 48 hours, and your ducks will eat it as fast as it grows. Self-renewing food source. Cost you nothing. Studies on aquaponics show plants can remove up to 90% of nitrogen waste from fish. The water stays clean. The fish stay healthy. You barely do anything. Part 3. The fish. For most of the US, bluegill and channel catfish are your easiest options. Bluegill grow slower, about 6 to 8 inches in 2 years, but they reproduce on their own. Set them and forget them. Channel catfish are faster. They hit 1 to 2 pounds in about 18 months. Tilapia are even faster, 1 pound in 5 to 6 months. A small pond with 50 tilapia fingerlings can give you 40 to 50 pounds of harvestable fish in a single growing season. Fair warning. Tilapia are illegal in some states because they can become invasive. Check your local regulations first. Part 4. The bacteria. The invisible workers. They convert fish waste ammonia into nitrites, then into nitrates that plants absorb. This nitrogen cycle is the entire backbone. Once it's established, it balances itself. You're not managing a farm, you're stewarding a living system. Cost. Total setup is around $400 to $600, maybe $150 to $300 for a pond liner, $20 to $50 for fingerlings, $30 to $60 for ducklings, $50 to $100 for plants. That's it. Location. Find the lowest point on your property where water naturally collects. Get at least 6 hours of sunlight, but not all day sun. You want to work with your land, not against it. Size. For a family, aim for about 10 by 15 feet, with 4 to 5 feet deep in the center. You can dig this by hand over a weekend, or rent a small excavator for a couple $100. Create a shallow shelf about 1 to 2 feet wide around the edges. That's your marsh zone for plants. The deep center is where fish hide during extreme temperatures. If you have heavy clay soil, use the traditional method. Line with 6 inches of wet clay, compact it, let it cure. If it's sandy or rocky, use EPDM rubber liner. They last 20 to 30 years. The process. Fill the pond. If you use city water, let it sit for a week so chlorine evaporates. Well or rainwater, go immediately. Plant first. Cattails, irises on shallow shelves, hornwort and submerged plants deeper. Float some water lettuce. Let this sit 2 to 4 weeks. Plants need to root, and beneficial bacteria need time to colonize. Add ducks next. 2 to 5 is perfect for a small pond. Within days, the water will cloud up slightly. That's normal. The ecosystem is waking up. Add fish after another month. Stock about 50 fingerlings per 1,000 gallons. They'll disappear into the deep water. Don't panic. Don't add more. They're there, growing. First 6 months, you almost do nothing. Watch. Check water clarity. Pull excess duckweed if it covers everything. Top off water during dry spells. That's it. No chemicals. No interference. The pond finds its balance. By month 6, you'll see flashes of silver. Your fish are visible and growing. Ducks start laying eggs within 5 to 6 months, about 60 to 75 eggs monthly from a small flock. By year 1, your fish approach harvestable size. Year 2, they reproduce on their own. By year 3, you're not managing anything. You're just harvesting from a living ecosystem. If you're in a cold climate, fish can survive under ice if you keep a small hole open. A pond de-icing tool costs about $40. Bluegill and catfish enter dormancy and survive fine. Tilapia can't handle temps below 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Harvest or bring them inside. Ducks are cold hardy and keep laying if they have basic shelter. Permits. In most states, ponds under 1 acre don't need permits. You're just managing rainwater on your property. But check your state's fish and game regulations because species rules vary. Catfish and bluegill are legal nearly everywhere. Here's what's wild. This knowledge has survived empires, wars, cultural revolutions, and deliberate suppression. Because once you understand the biology, the ecosystem builds itself. 10 years from now, your neighbors might worry about food prices and supply chains. You'll walk out to your pond, cast a line, pull a healthy fish, collect eggs from your ducks, and feel something most people have forgotten. Sovereignty. Not the loud kind, the quiet kind. The kind that doesn't need permission. If this resonates with you, subscribe. Share this with someone ready to stop depending on broken systems. The knowledge is here. The choice is yours. The pond is waiting.